Welcome to the KBB Review podcast, and of course, a very happy new year to you. This is the very first episode of 2026, and it's also the first episode of season 17, which is mad to think about. We're at nearly 320 episodes of this show, so thank you if you've been with us since the beginning, and welcome if this is your first. Now, obviously, I can see all the stats of this show, and I think we need a particular shout-out to the several dozen people who actually listened to an episode on Christmas Day. That's commitment for you, and I'm assuming a lot of dog walking. We'll be back with our regular retailers of Trevor, Liz, Nick and Justine in a couple of weeks, but we're actually kicking off 2026 in this episode and the next with two big interviews. First up today, we have Pat Riley from Bathroom Brands, and then next week we'll be hearing from Dean Weston, the new MD of CP Hart. But let's start with Pat Riley. Absolutely legendary figure in the bathroom sector in the UK. He founded Bath Store, of course, and after selling that to Wolsey, he started Bathroom Brands, the home now of the likes of Crosswater, Burlington, Britton, and most recently Showerwall. Pat, along with Crosswater founder Dave Hance, stepped back from the day-to-day running of Bathroom Brands actually in about 2020, but recently, after a period marked by software failures, operational problems, and a bit of a growing distance between the company and its customers, the founders are back at the helm to personally put things back on track. Now, we actually spoke to Dave Hance about all this in an episode back in December, so I really recommend going back and listening to that one as well. And like Dave, Pat is very candid about the issues the company has had, but it's very clear that he has come back, like Dave, not just to bring experience, but also energy and drive and vitality, and it's fascinating to hear him lay out very simply and clearly what went wrong and how they've got back on track and are now looking to the future. In particular, he goes into a lot of detail about how to combine the latest technologies with a classic face-to-face approach to sales, all about really putting customer service first. It's so interesting. So that's all really good stuff. But before we go over to Pat Riley, Bathroom Brands are one of our very generous sponsors of the KBB Review Retail and Design Awards 2026, and we're now counting down to the big day itself. It's on March the 2nd at the Hilton Birmingham Metropole. As always, that's the Monday night of the KBB show, and if you haven't booked your tickets yet, then I genuinely can't recommend highly enough sorting it out today to make sure you've got your places sorted. Don't say I didn't warn you. You can buy individual tickets, of course, to make sure you're in the room with hundreds of retailers, designers, suppliers and influencers. But if you want to entertain clients or colleagues and get a full table of 10, then honestly, you really do need to sort that out as soon as you can. And it's not just to make sure you have a table while there's still some available, it's also so you can start inviting your guests now. The sooner you invite those key retailers, the more likely it is that they have already accepted someone else's offer. You see where I'm going? You can find out everything you need to know about why, where, when, and how much at kbbreview.com/awards, where you can also book direct. And that link is in the episode description. So I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to this year. It's going to be a big one, so I will see you there. And here is Pat Riley. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm grand, thanks. And you?
I'm really, really good. It's good to hear your voice. It's been a long time since we spoke last. It's good to see you back.
Well, it's fantastic to be back. It really is.
Well, it's funny because we obviously spoke to Dave Hance a few weeks ago, and he was as passionate about the business as he's always been, and I suspect you're the same.
Yeah, it was a mixture of fear and excitement coming back, but in reality, it's been 90% pleasure and 10% grind. So it's pretty good odds.
That's a pretty good ratio. So look, I want to start, if we can, Pat, with a very broad question, but it's also the most pertinent one, I think, for everyone listening, because you're clearly a very experienced guy. You've been running successful businesses for a very long time in this market. What is your reading of the market as we end 2025 and go into 2026? What's your evaluation of it as you've come back into it?
Andrew, I think everyone's aware that the market is tough. And with Rachel Reeves and her cohorts, I'm not that optimistic that it will improve significantly through poor management of the economy and the planning laws. But having said that, at the end of the day, there's plenty of business out there, and we just need to get more market share. So I'm really not interested in people complaining. Just get out there and deliver.
As I say, we spoke to Dave a few weeks ago, and the market conditions are difficult. And we don't need to go into them again because Dave went through them, but there was obviously some internal issues that went wrong at bathroom brands that needed fixing. But are these difficult market conditions a factor in you and Dave coming back?
No, I think we had enormous problems last year with our software. And yeah, really agree with Dave to apologize to everyone. We were absolutely hopeless. And I think the business has lost its desire to look after the customer. And that's always been a very simple philosophy that I've got. If the customer is happy, then everyone is happy. Our staff, our customers, their customers, our shareholders. And I just got very frustrated that we were becoming a bureaucratic monolith that wasn't looking after the customer. And so I chatted with Dave and said, let's just go back and get it similar to what it was before. It won't be the same because life has moved on. Yeah, so we've got a lot of people joining us that used to work with us. We've got Ali Doak and Stuart Telford, myself, Dave, got a number of people in customer services, and we're in a people business. We sell products, but the reality is people buy from people. So the absolute drive now is, and I must say it 5 times a day, will this make our customer happier? And if the answer is no, don't bother.
I'd say what's interesting is you and Dave and all those other people that you're bringing back, they're very experienced business people. You and Dave, very experienced business leaders, and that's invaluable in times like these when the market's tough. And, you've been through tough markets before. Everybody has who's been working in this industry for a long time. But how important is it to bring back a bit of energy and passion, a bit of drive to things? You and Dave are founders, and you're inevitably going to bring just a bit of oomph to the thing because it's part of you. It's quite an intangible thing, isn't it? But that injection of energy at the top can make a lot of difference throughout the whole organisation, can't it?
I think it makes an enormous difference. Yeah, Andrew, there are things like we've just launched something called Sets. And that sounds incredibly simple, that basically when you order, you look at a picture and that's what you buy. So everything for your showering system will be in one box. So it's one box, one price, one code. Really simple. The complexities to get that done with the software and the warehousing and the picking and the deliveries is enormous. And yeah, the initial reaction when I came back in the business with Dave is it's a bit difficult. And that's not an answer that I found particularly useful. And what started there was I was at a friend who called me and said, can I come and help him sort out his bathroom delivery from us? And I went to Rob's house, and it took me 3 hours to separate. He had 4 bathrooms, and each shower had 6 different boxes. And they'd all got mixed up on the delivery when he put them in his garage. And I just thought there's got to be a better way. This is ridiculous. At the end of the day, we're selling bathrooms. We're not rocket scientists. And just make it easy. So things like that, just bullying my way through to get things done, has been fun. And now that it's up and running, now people start saying, oh, that's actually pretty good. So yeah, there is a new energy in the business and a more of a can-do attitude. And decisions are made a lot quicker than they used to be, for better or worse.
And I think that can only be a positive thing, particularly as that filters down through the organisation. I keep saying that you and Dave are back, but you haven't actually been away in the sense that you've both still been non-exec directors of the company. But you stepped back from the day-to-day, around 2020, something like that, just before...
Well, Andrew, I've never actually been CEO. So,
right.
Because I always thought I'd be a hopeless CEO. So I've been on the board for a number of years, since we started it. And then, back in 2020, I did really become a true non-exec, so only attending 4 or 5 meetings a year. And now I'm doing 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. I think that'll come to an end pretty soon.
So what have you been up to then for the last 6 years? What have you been doing? You don't strike me as a guy who just likes sitting around reading a book.
I've been doing a bit of golf, a bit of Netflix. My wife and I have a charity, so I've been doing a lot of that. And, I've got 8 children, so I've been spending quite a lot of time with my kids. In fact, 3 of my children have joined the business, so they're all accountants, so the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And if I'm honest, I'm just loving working with my children.
And they know exactly how many apples there are and how much they're worth, and
Yeah.
and it's great. And I think when you've sorted out some of the issues that you need to sort out, you get into the kind of groove of thing. I think you can start slowly but surely giving some of that responsibility away again. So you've been there a couple of months now. What is in your inbox, Pat? What is your sort of order of priority for things that you need to go through? It's a big organisation, Bathroom Brands. So what is your order of priority?
The main thing that we're working on is to create a portal so that customers can order online from us, see what stock we've had, what we've got. If we're out of stock, it will show them alternative products that they can order that do the same job. We'll have end-to-end customer invoicing and management, proof of deliveries, back orders, be able to do returns, tracking deliveries. So, for instance, on tracking deliveries, you will be able to click on within the portal and it will show you, just like some of the websites around the world, it will show a picture of your van driving up to you. It will tell you how many drops he or she's got to make before he gets to you, and it will tell you the estimated time. It will have all product specifications. You'll be able to complain. Yeah, that is a mammoth piece of work. But when I said earlier, we need to look after customers in a slightly different way to when I was involved in the business before. Life has moved on. And I think our customers, a lot of them would rather just be able to do everything live, online, at night, on weekends, whenever they want to. So we're hoping to create more like an Amazon type feel for our customers. Obviously, you'd have to have your own login and so on so that it's secure. And I would imagine we will launch that certainly in the first half of the year. We've got most probably 15 people working on it as we speak. It's that kind of step change that we're trying to achieve. Deliveries are going out at 96% at the moment, first time in full, but that's a very old metrics to use. So, I think that's pretty exciting.
Do you think, though, that, and again, it's one of the things that you and Dave coming back with a lot of experience, is that you have to marry up the kind of efficiencies that you're talking about that technology can bring you, but you've got to get some old school fundamentals right first to build that kind of system upon, if that makes sense. People buy from people. You have to get the face-to-face customer service element of it right so that people trust and believe in the technology when that's in place. And that is where old school experience and new technology have to really marry together.
Yeah, so we've lost quite a number of our colleagues since I've been back. But the one area that we have recruited more people is in sales. So the area sales managers' patches will be smaller so that they can visit customers more frequently and build better relationships with them. So it's not just a technology stack. I do believe you've got to do both. And people buy from people in this industry. It's very competitive. There are a number of products which you can buy from a number of different suppliers. So why would they choose Crosswater or Burlington? And to me, it's about good quality products, good service, and nice people to do business with.
What's interesting about that is that's how independent retailers work. They are your customer, but actually that's how they run their businesses as well. They are customer service-based offerings. And it just shows that these kind of principles are big business, small SMEs. It's not difficult, is it, in that sense, these kind of fundamentals?
Yeah, and Andrew, we're not a big business. We're a medium-sized business. We're relatively big in the industry, but it's not a huge industry. So we really are having a two-tiered approach to next year. One is about people and one is about technology. And hopefully we can marry that up.
Well, look, let's broaden this out a little bit to talk about the bathroom market as a whole, because as you touched on there, the bathroom supply market is really incredibly competitive. And some might even say saturated. Do you agree with that or not? Is consolidation inevitable? How do you see it all playing out with just the sheer number of suppliers that there are? And as you say, sometimes it's very difficult to differentiate between their offering.
I wouldn't say it's oversupplied. I think the world is competitive in any industry you go into. And if it's not, economics will prevail and it will become competitive relatively quickly thereafter. There's been a bit of consolidation, with Ideal Standard and so on, but I don't foresee any big mergers or takeovers. The Americans would be the ones that would typically be involved in that because they're better financed and they have a far better price earnings ratio, so they can afford more. But at the moment, that is a fairly benign market. So I think there will be one or two casualties early next year. January is definitely a tough time of year in our market because sales are not great. So I would think there will be some casualties as opposed to some mergers.
As you said, the market is not going to grow. So the only way to grow is by gaining market share. And obviously, if you gain market share, someone else is losing it. And I think there's going to be a bit of a scrap in certain sectors of it, particularly in the lower end volume market, just because there is an awful lot of bathroom. You can buy a shower enclosure in lots and lots of different places. Are you focused on that in how you differentiate bathroom brands against other suppliers? Is it a customer service based thing? Is it a product based thing? How do you look at differentiation?
Well, I've mentioned creating sets to make things simpler for the customer. Next year, we should grow our business by mid 20% growth. Okay. So to do that, we've got to obviously be nice to work with and have great products. If you look at the pricing that we've launched in the sets, we're between 10 and 50% less than we were 8 weeks ago. And if you look at pricing that will come out in January, we will be reducing our prices on a number of key ranges. So, for years, this industry has just put its prices up one after the other. And by mid-Jan, we would have realigned all our pricing downwards with some really significant reductions. So I'm absolutely focused on growing the business by a minimum of 20% next year. So we've got to do some things differently. To separate us out of the pack and to take market share. I think making it simpler, improving the pricing, and improving the service level with humans offered to our customer, we should do it.
This is going to seem a bit tangential, but you obviously founded Bath Store very successfully before suddenly got onto Wolsey in early 2000s.
Yeah.
How do you see the multiple mass market bathroom retail sector at the moment? It's dominated by Victoria Plumbing, which is obviously all online. Is there still room for bricks and mortar in that part of the market, do you think? Would you start a Bath Store-like chain of showrooms today?
Yeah, because bathrooms are somewhat different to many other products. So if you look at Amazon, they've not been very successful in bathrooms other than the odd component. And I think the key differential is people are only buying a bathroom every circa 10 years. So they don't really know until they go on the journey what they want. And then it has to be installed. And I think as long as local businesses are offering a full service, then online cannot compete with that. It is a separate route to market. So I'm very clear that there's an online route to market, which is the Vicky Plums and the Sanctuaries and so on. And then there's the independent retailer. And I think they service different parts of the market. So will there be independent retailers in 20 years? Absolutely.
The clock's beating us a little bit, but thank you so much for talking to us today. It's always fascinating to hear your views on the market, and Bathroom Brands is a real bellwether business. I think there seems to be a general frisson in the air that you and Dave are back at the helm. So we're all going to sit back and wait to see what you do next. But thank you for your time, and we'll speak again soon.
Good to chat with you, Andrew.